So I've been sitting on this first issues for a while now because I rightly felt that I shouldn't have a say since this book is definitely designed with a very specific goal in mind. However, after talking with some friends, I came to the conclusion that screw it. This is a legit comic that shouldn't get special treatment because the internet will do what the internet does. So here's the warning that I'm not going to be kind to this book because it wants to bank on politics. I'm going to say my verdict right now. It is either a read it if you like the idea of what the marketing's saying, or it's skip it because it is actually kind of generic. If you want to know what I mean, stick around. If not, click off. I'm fairly certain that Comic has a better review than this. So the plot is straightforward. A young black kid named Kareem is gunned down by an overzealous cop along with his two friends because one decided to try running. But Kareem survives now with superpowers. He's being hunted by the government cause superpowers, but he's also recruited into basically the Black X-Men because of course. But it's totally a secret that certain black people have superpowers. Honestly, it's a straightforward plot that starts political, then goes into the very standard. Not bad standard, mind you, just generic and all, but really banking on but black people have all the superpowers in this comic. So now I'm going to go into the rant as to why I disliked this, and I'm going to give some examples of how this worked well in other places. The biggest comparison to make for me would be to Milestone Comics, who had a lineup of black superheroes that did confront the many problems facing those of color in the US during the 90s. In fact, Milestone Comics ran from 93 to 97, I believe, a good chunk of the decade. Zoom in on one of their flagship comics, Static, which most people listening will probably know by the still highly loved cartoon Static Shock. Static Shock as a character was a black youth living a pretty standard inner city kid life. Why does this matter in comparison to this? Because even while Milestone was being pioneered to be about superheroes of color, it never rested on that point. Virgil Hawkins is the best example of that fact because yeah, he does meet with jackasses who bring up his race. He is kinda bullied at school by gangbangers. Hell, one of his villains is in fact called Tar Baby. But what makes him unique of a character was his voice. Of course, there's those that said he wasn't air quote black enough, even though his origin was that he was in a gang war that was interrupted by experimental chemicals due to the cops. He wasn't all about gangbanging at the time. The reason that worked? You were able to connect with him as a character, so you were able to relate to the messages being pushed even better. Here, Kareem isn't a character. He's a puppet for the plot. Yes, that can change later, of course. This is just a first issue, with 2, 3, and 4 being out already. But why would you want to follow him? He's not charismatic or interesting of a character. And that could be because, again, this comic is designed for, air quote, you the black reader. So giving him a character would make it harder to go, he is you, and therefore the flaws of the book would be more apparent. Or let's go with an even more popular, even more recent character in Kamala Khan. She doesn't really have depth to her character, at least for the first year of her existence, but she was a fun read who had a memorable voice and was relatable to guys in their late 20s as much as Muslims or women. Even if she never got any depth, she was at least entertaining to follow, and her being from Jersey was just as important to her as her religion, which was never glossed over, but was shown without needing to be a 2x4 to beat the point in. Then there is what everyone else has been filleting this comic as, and I'm putting this in quotes, mind you, is totally a black version of the original X-Men. No, it isn't. The original X-Men, which, while yes, was kind of this bland, at least had shades where you could go, I want to follow these people because we're given the overall threat and the premise of the series in the first issue. Check out A Comic a Day in September for what I mean on that. The better comparison to this is Harbinger, when it comes to the secret organization, the special powers, and being globally not that known. But even then, we follow Sting as he gets brought into the world, so we know what sort of asshole he is before giving him a big role in this war. But that's because, again, you're not supposed to see Kareem as a person, at least how he's written. You're supposed to see him as the embodiment of his skin color. That's why they went with the simplest answer of he's superpowered now because he survived a cop-related shooting, rather than, say, really going interesting with it and focusing on Kareem instead of a cop explaining their own way out of hashtag not all cop. Had we seen the first 3 pages of Kareem's life, maybe waking up late on a Saturday, showing his room as we know that maybe he's a Lupe Fiasco fan, maybe he likes Dizzy Gillespie, maybe go for the gold and give him an Obama poster. Basically, in 1 page you can tell us everything about this character without needing to take the time to. And then you have him meeting up with his friends and then have the shooting take place as is, but now instead of making it totally hamstrung by needing a political message, you get the cop-related shooting and the emotional investment to want to follow Kareem going through this journey. But like I said way before the rant at the very beginning, this isn't necessarily a bad book. The art is really damn good, and I love the grayscale coloring on it. I definitely think it works a lot better than a standard coloring would on this. And honestly, if you take out the marketing, that tagline, and frankly truly made this a 1-1 for any other standard teen book, except everyone on the team just so happened to be black, in a nice counter to X-Men, it would basically at least be worth a read. So what's my verdict? Well, I've got two minds on this. I think that at least this issue should definitely be read so you can make up your own mind on it. But at the same time, I think it's easily skippable when compared to other current creators, like Jamal Campbell's Immortal Nadia Green, Nyla Magruder's MFK, Misha Haynes' Substitutes, David Pinkney's Fight Like a Girl, or Erica Alexander's Concrete Park, or go mainstream with the Milestone Comics backlog of stuff, or David F. Walker doing basically anything. So short answer, read it if you like the concept, but by now you probably have. Otherwise, there's truly no harm in skipping this book for some of the great webcomics that are out, or for other comics in this genre. Now that I've said my piece on it, if you agree or more than likely disagree with me, please leave a comment below. This is my opinion, and I truly like hearing yours, and I do even reply to most when relevant. Follow us on Twitter, like the Archivist Facebook page, and we now do have a Patreon, so go and pledge, and you can even make me take back my entire words on this if you feel that strongly and want to put your money where my mouth is. Check out my other two channels, ComicSins and A Comic a Day. As always, stay golden, Inklings.